Hey everyone, my name is John LaCroix. I am the owner and race director of the Human Potential Running Series, and you are watching the course preview for the 2025 Indian Creek Trail Run. So, this video is designed to just give you a little bit of a rundown of the course so everybody knows where they're going, what they're doing. Tips and tricks along the way. Happy to fill in those gaps for you. Let's just dive right into it. First, I want to remind everybody that you can head to our website, which is www.humanpotentialrunning.com. And if you go there at the top of the page, the events tab, you're looking for Indian Creek, it'll bring you to this page. And if you scroll down, there's all kinds of links here, including the runner's drive, aid station chart, elevation profiles, PDF version of the course maps, and a CalTopo interactive map. What I recommend is you click on here for the runner's drive, which will send you to the drive that you've also been provided. You'll be provided a number of links to in your pre-race email as well. You've got the runner drive in here. I'm sorry, the runner's guide. Also, you'll notice this folder says GPX. If you click on that, there is a GPX file for each of the 4 distances at Indian Creek. You can download those and upload them to your device, whether that be your watch, GPS unit, phone, whatever it is that you use to navigate. I also want to show you that there are PDF maps of each of the courses. You can download these, print them out, bring them with you for each of the courses. They're all right here. And then also, I included an additional map. This is an old scan from years ago, and we're going to kind of go over this specifically today, where each loop goes, because Indian Creek is known for being a little bit confusing for some folks. So what I like to do is I'm going to show you the paper map, and then I'm going to switch over to, see if I can get this. Here we go. Show you the paper map, and then I'm going to zoom over to CalTopo, and we'll talk about it specifically for each distance, okay? So let's start with the 5 mile. This is the map for the 5 mile trail run. It says the 5 mile completes, oh boy, come on. It says the 5 mile completes this loop twice in succession. The first loop is run in the counterclockwise direction. After checking into the start finish aid station, you'll turn around and then run it in reverse in the clockwise direction. So I assume everybody knows what clockwise and counterclockwise is, but just for a little bit of a refresher for you all, clockwise is this way, and counterclockwise is this way. Okay? So it says you finish it twice. You're going to do counterclockwise first. So that means that you're going to start here at the Indian Creek campground. That's our start finish line. And your first loop is counterclockwise. You're going to run back into the start finish line, and then you're going to turn around and then run it clockwise. Okay? So you're going to start the race going uphill. You're going to finish the race coming downhill. Let's take a look at it on CalTopo. This is our CalTopo map. I'm going to turn off all of the routes except for that 5 mile. We're going to zoom in. I'm going to pull up the, on the bottom of your screen there, you should be able to see the elevation profile. I'll show you again how I pulled that up, but I just want to zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. So here on the side, see I've got the 5 mile is the only box selected for routes, and next to it is this little stock market little thing. If you click on that, the elevation profile pops up, and then if you drag your mouse across that profile, and again, this is on a desktop. If you drag your mouse across the profile, you will see a little orange dot on there moving along the course, coinciding with where it is on that profile. All right, same for all of the courses. So here we go, 5 miles. You folks are going to start going, it's a 1.3 mile uphill all the way to the big intersection up at the top here. You're going to take a hard left, and then you're going to come all the way down this single track. It's kind of rolling. A little bit of a hill there in the middle, come back around, and then it's mostly downhill. And you're going to emerge down at the pit toilet at the main trailhead parking lot. You're going to take a hard left, and you're going to run back up into the Indian Creek Campground. You're going to check in with us. You don't have to take aid if you don't want to. It's there if you need it. Food, water, electrolyte, whatever. Grab what you need. Then you're going to turn around. You're going to run back out. You're going to run this in reverse. So now you're going all the way back up to that high point. You're going to turn around and you're going to come all the way back downhill 1.3 miles into that finish line. I can expand this. I like to resample these a little bit so I can get a little more accurate numbers. So your 5 mile is actually 5.71 miles long, 1,060 feet of gain, 1,061 feet of loss. And that is the 5 mile. Let's move on to talking about our 15 mile. So I want everybody to know that the 15-mile route is also the first loop of the 55K and the first loop of the 50-mile. So everybody in the 15-mile, 55K, and 50-mile, you all run this loop first. It is run in the counterclockwise direction starting from Indian Creek Campground. So again, you start here at the campground. You two are going to run up to the High Point Junction, just like those 5 milers I was talking about. And then you're going to run this loop in the counterclockwise direction. So this is the first loop. I want to change my color here so you can see what happens. You come back to this junction, but now you're coming down the center and back in. And you're going to stop at Indian Creek Campground. So if you're in the 15 mile, you are running one loop. If you're in the 55K, this is your first loop. If you're in the 50 mile, it is also your first loop. So let's take a look at it. Zoom out a little bit. That's not the map I want. That one is. Got my elevation profile popped up on the screen, and we're going to drag our mouse across it. All the way up to that high point, and then it climbs just a little bit further. And then you run along this ridge. You go past that peak. You don't actually summit it. This is Ringtail Trail. You're going to come all the way down past an old cabin. You bypass Thomas Hill. You run all the way down. It's 5.4 miles of downhill, net downhill. Now you're into the Shirt Tail area. I'm going to zoom in here because it's really important that we see this. So when you get down here into the Shirt Tail area, you notice there's a spur trail there that you could accidentally take. There's another one here that you can accidentally take. The big feature down here is going to be the rock that is present right here. It looks like a giant monolith. It's red. We call it the Red Rocket and other unsavory names. I'm going to come. Either way, it's there. You'll know it when you see it. You're running by all of these things. So really important that when you're in this area that you do not take these little paths that bring you out onto this other loop. That's not for you. Either way, the next thing I want you to pay attention to is this major intersection. Here on the map, I've got a little caution symbol. If you take this road, this is a dirt road. If you were to go that way, you head down into kind of the middle of Roxborough State Park. And if you accidentally head off in either of these directions, you're just off into the prairie. There will be no course markings in any of those directions. So there's no reason for you to head that direction. Be very mindful that when you come up and you hit this road, it's a sharp left. You'll know you're going the right way because this hill is the first place where you're going to say, F you, John. This hill is steep, okay? Here I'll show you. Map brings you around and you get on that hill and you're at almost a 20% grade right away. It's 19-20% climbing this hill here. Yep, there's a 20 on there. I see a 21.5. It is a steep hill, a little bit washed out. That's the way to go. So let me zoom back out. So just so everybody knows, like when you start out at Indian Creek, you're going to be on a service road. It's called a dump road. It's a fire road. And then when you get to the top junction here and you take a right, you're on single track. You're on single track trail all the way down around till you hit the road here in Roxborough. When you take that hard left, you're now on a dirt road in the state park. So you're in Roxborough State Park, up and down these rolling hills, and then you're going to climb your way up to this Rampart aid station. Rampart's about 9.6 miles into your adventure. Just before you get to the station, you're going to be like back in the woods, kind of, you've been out in the open for a little bit on that road. So you're going to be back in the woods. And then you're going to come up what we call the center. So now you're climbing up the center of Indian Creek. This is single track trail at first, and then you'll come up to the power line. There's a power line tower. Take a hard left and you're back on the dump road. So you're just on this big wide service road. Nobody ever drives on it. It's a challenging road, and not going to lie, a lot of uphill. So where you're here at, what is this, mile 6.9, 6.97. You are mostly uphill until mile 13.4. So you got 7 miles of climbing. You're back at the junction, and then it's pretty much rolling downhill on single track trail till you hit that main campground, the main trailhead. Take a left and come into the campground. You're going to finish coming uphill. So if you're in the 15 mile, you're finishing uphill into the campground from the main trailhead parking lot. This is the end of loop 1 for the 55K and the end of loop 1 for the 50 mile as well. Okay, 15 milers, you're done. I'm going to come back to my paper map. Here again, I want to show all of you in the 55K now and the 50 mile, your first lap again was this loop. This was lap 1. We just looked at it. That's the 15-mile loop, lap 1. You're going to come uphill into Indian Creek Campground. You're going to check in, and then you're going to turn around, and now you're doing lap 2. This is going to send you all the way down to Lenny's Rest. Here you're on the Colorado Trail. You're going to take a right. You're going to run down into Waterton Canyon. Check in and out of that aid station. You're going to come around and back into Roxborough State Park on Powerline Trail, and you'll check into the Rampart aid station. Now, this is where you're going to be now running in the reverse of what you ran in the morning. So now you're back on, you're heading in the opposite direction on your first loop. Now you're heading back uphill, all this way across up to Thomas Hill, across the top of the ridge. And when you get into this big junction, you're going to take the hard left and finish running downhill into Indian Creek. So, quick review on this. Again, like this is your first loop. And then your second loop sends you around the big outside, and then backtracking the second half, coming back up the way you went down earlier. Let's take a look at it here on our friend CalTopo. So I'll pull up the 55K. Again, I want to show you folks. Drag your mouse across. We're up at the big junction, taking a right onto the single track, along the ridge, all the way down to Sharptail. Be careful not to take those other little trails off into Shirt Tail or whatever it's called. You come to the road, you take a hard left, and now you're back on like a dirt road all the way into Rampart aid station. Check in and out of Rampart, you're coming up the middle. Single track trail until you hit the power line. At the power line, it's a hard left, you're on the dump road. Take that all the way back up to the main intersection, and now you're running the single track trail all the way back into Indian Creek Campground. That is the end of loop 1. That is mile 15. If you are in the 55K or the 50 mile, you may drop down to the 15 mile. You'll get a finisher's award and your time in the 15 mile results. If you'd like to continue, you will turn around and leave Indian Creek the way that you came in, running past that trail that you came off of and staying down through the equestrian campground and then eventually onto single track trail. This goes down through the Bear Creek area. I want to show you folks here. It says caution. We're going to zoom in there for a minute. This is a place where there is an old trail that kind of heads off to the north right there. It goes down by some old cabins. Not a really great place for you to course cut if you're one of those folks. That would be a big mistake if you headed down there. So be mindful that there's a hard left right there to stay on course. So I just wanted to make sure you're aware of it. You're going to stay on course, continuing to run along this ridge, and eventually you'll run downhill. There's a major intersection there as well, an old trail that kind of comes up. You can see it here on this map, an old trail. So here you've got, if you take that first long way, that trail comes all the way down into here. And this one also kind of connects into it. Not a shortcut. More trouble than it's worth, I promise you. But I did mark that major intersection for you. That will come into play if you're in the 50 mile. That's going to come in play later. For now, you're going to keep running straight downhill, and you'll eventually run into the Colorado Trail there at Lenny's Rest. You're now on the CT Section 1, all the way downhill through all these wild switchbacks and into the Waterton Canyon Aid Station. You'll check in and out of Waterton Canyon, and then you're going to continue on running in the clockwise direction around through Roxborough State Park into Rampart. And instead of coming up the middle, again, now you're going to complete your adventure here, if you're in the 55K, by running the reverse of what you ran first thing in the morning. So now you're on Loop 1 heading in the opposite direction. You're going to take that hard right off of the road, back onto the single track, past the Red Rocket. You're going to run all the way uphill through Nelson Ranch, past Thomas Hill. There's a lot of climbing. Friends, this area here, let me expand this for you. And I'm going to do a resample. If you're in the 55K, this is the crux of the 55K for a lot of folks. Let's see if I can count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people say 6. 1. Yeah, there's 6 in there. 6 false summits. You're going to think you're done all 6 times. You are not. It keeps going. You're welcome. The 55K is 34.1 miles long, 7,302 feet of climb, about the same in loss. Again, just want to show you the completion here. You come back to the major intersection. You finish coming down the dump road. You'll dunk back into Indian Creek Campground. You finish coming downhill. That is the 55K loop. If you are in the 50 mile, this is your first and second loop. You need to be back into Indian Creek Campground and leaving on Loop 3 by 3:15 p.m. If you have not left Indian Creek Campground for Loop 3 by 3:15 p.m., you will be cut. You will automatically be dropped to the 55K. You will receive a finisher's award and your time in the 55K results. If you choose to continue, you may. So again, 50 milers, you're going to run that first loop, which was the 15 miler, counterclockwise. Then you're running that 55K loop in the clockwise direction, all the way out on the outside, coming back in. And now you need to be leaving the campground at 3:15. When you leave the campground, you're going up the middle. Again, what we say is up the middle. You're going up to that major intersection. You're going to run all the way back down to Rampart Aid Station. You need to be through there by 4:20 p.m., leaving. If you have not arrived and left Rampart Aid Station by 4:20, you will be cut. You will either receive a ride from the aid station volunteers if they have room, or you'll be turned around and asked to death march your way back up that 5 miles you just ran down from the campground and return. You will not be allowed to proceed in the 50-mile race. Well, why is that? Again, Waterton Canyon Aid Station closes at 7 p.m. They are escorted out by Denver Water. It is a condition of our permit. They're not going to be there to keep track of you. They're not going to be there to give you water or sustenance. They're going to be gone. So you have to be through there by 7. If you haven't made it through Rampart Aid Station by 4:20, history shows us that you will not make it to Waterton in time. So very important that you are through Rampart by 4:20 or you will be cut off. You will leave Rampart now heading in the reverse direction of Loop 2. When you get to this major intersection up here on your way into Waterton, let me zoom out just a little bit. You get to this intersection, you will take a left and you're going to come through this Stevens Gulch area, and then you hit back where you were earlier in the morning, and you're going to take a right and you're going to run all the way down to Waterton Canyon Aid Station. So let me show you this again. This is Loop 3 for the 50 milers. You folks must be through Rampart Aid Station by 4:20. You're still running here in the counterclockwise direction. And when you get to this major intersection, you're taking a left. So you are not heading down to Rampart in that direction. This is not the way to go. You are coming this way. And you will run and come up and head down this way and come and check into Waterton from this direction. Then you will turn around and you will head back up. And when you get to this junction again, you're going to go straight and follow that all the way to the finish. Very important, 50 milers. If you come into Waterton from this direction, which I said you should not do, they're just going to turn you around to come back and do this properly. Otherwise, you're going to be a DNF. So just do it right the first time. Pay attention. This way. You're coming down. Check in and out. Come back up and head straight for the finish. Okay? That is how the 50 miler works down in that Waterton Canyon area. And after you've checked in, here you are. It is a 5.2 mile hike. Actually, it's 6 miles from there, all the way back, uphill the whole way to the finish line. 51.94 miles. 2 bonus miles. They're free of charge. I didn't charge you for them. You're welcome. Yep, course 50 feet, 10,585 feet of climb, and about the same in loss. I want to show you that again here on this. So here's the 50-mile print map. Again, I just run this through you again. This is the first loop, 15 miles. You can drop there if you want. You're going to keep going? Great. Head back out. Now you're running the 50K loop. This is loop 2. Come back to Rampart, and here you're going to run the first half of loop 1 in reverse, right? Come all the way back in. Now you're in the main station. You're going to leave heading up the middle. Back to Rampart. Got to be through there by 4:20. And then you're going to keep heading down. And here's the crux of the matter. You're going to come up. When you get here, you're going back down to Waterton. Once you get into Waterton, you're going to turn around and you're going to come back up this way to finish the race. And that is the 50 mile. Big old washing machine. Okay. Just want to remind everybody that there is this document in the Runner's Drive. It is the personal runner navigation file. Explains to you how to use CalTopo, Colorado Trails Explorer, and Gaia GPS to live track yourself out on the course. Keep yourself found even when cell service is not available. This document will help you be able to do that. That is the course preview for the Indian Creek Trail Runs. Hope you'll join us if you're not already signed up. We'll see you out there in October for Indian Creek. For the Human Potential Running Series, I am Race Director John LaCroix. We'll see you on the trails.